Well, thank you all so much for listening attentively to everything that I said today. Your feedback is more than welcome. So now we're on part 2 of our racial justice talks, and I would like to introduce you to Leroy, who will be doing part 2. Come on, Leroy.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for that introduction, Deborah. So I'm just going to explain a little bit about the concept of whiteness and of blackness generally, and to just give us an idea of our history. So, believe it or not, the concept of whiteness didn't exist until around the 15th century. So, since the beginning of recorded history, humans have always thought in terms of tribes or nations. For example, in Nigeria, we have the Yoruba tribe, and in regions of the States, we have the Cherokee Nation. But the idea of race is a fairly new concept. So, the Greek word for nation is ethnos, from which we get the word ethnic. And it basically referred to any group of people with the same language, the same culture, and the same territory. So some nations were related to others with common historical roots and cultural overlaps. Some nations were greatly different from each other and far removed in every way. Um, so with that in mind, we know that nations or tribes they were categorized in many different ways in the ancient world. But skin color was not one of the ways in which we categorize people. And it was really rare for people to even notice those kind of differences. It was just considered, yeah, that's a factor for identifying people groups, but not as it is today. Wow, sorry, I'm just mind blown by this. So, skin color is, well, it was seen as like hair color is for us now today, or like eye color. I didn't know it was so arbitrary.
No, I didn't know that either. So yeah, this is all new to me.
Yes, the thing is, not many people do know because education doesn't teach us about it. So, yes, it was the 15th century that human skin colour really became a thing. And Europeans began placing people of different nations on a continuum of skin colour with baseless generalizations that didn't really make sense. But this kind of thinking became more and more prevalent until a formal legal justification for race-based chattel slavery in the 17th century. So that is where the idea of blackness and whiteness comes into play. It was driven by economics and empire. It was an effort to justify the enslavement of people from Africa or the Americas by white Europeans as they expanded their global empires and needed cheap labor. But what obviously developed later on became a basis theory of race that classified all nations on some colour scale of red, yellow, black, and white. And this was combined with a developmental scale that basically placed white people on the top tier and black people on the bottom, red and yellow people somewhere in between. Thing is, I thought I heard slavery existed even before the 17th century. So how would you explain that? Very good question. Can I ask you what your name is? Jack.
Yeah, Jack is normally our one to ask quite a few questions,
Yeah,
aren't you,
yeah,
Jack?
yeah. But it's important to ask questions, otherwise it could just be spouting a load of nonsense. Could just be against white people or something. Oh, no, Jack. I'm just interested in telling people the truth. Things that you won't just find in your usual classroom textbooks. These are things that come through proper research and time. So you've got a valid question. It's a good question. Like I said, slavery was around before that point, and it has existed since the beginning of recorded time. It was not previously based on skin color, though. So slaves, they were people conquered, for example, in a war, or people who had fallen on really bad turf. So they were struggling financially. And slavery was typically, it didn't last for your whole life. It wasn't a status that you inherited. It was just something that came about um, because of the conditions of your times. It wasn't evil like what it became in the 17th century. And it wasn't tied to this myth of race. the idea that, oh, yes, you are better, you are more supreme just because you are white and have fairer skin. And this one is inferior because they have darker skin. It was never like this originally when we had slavery. Trying to say that white doesn't actually exist then and that we've all just bought into some wild lie that, oh, white and black, they don't actually exist. I find that a bit hard to believe, to be honest. No, that's because you bought into the lie, Jack. You've got so used to it. You've got accustomed to it. And that's normal. Most people are used to it. Most people have bought into it. Because that is what the media, that is what politics, that's what they feed us. That's what the education system feeds us. Because they want us to believe in this lie and they want to pretend that they're trying to make things better by saying, okay, let's all be friends. Well, really, we know that originally there was not this example, there was not this idea of whiteness and blackness, okay? We've got to remember that people of all races are 99% genetically identical. 99%, okay? So we've also got to remember that being white, this idea, is changed over time. I mean, Irish people were not considered white, in the beginning of time, and Italian people, Jewish people, not considered white. Now they typically are considered white people. Okay, you do know that the KKK, they hated Christopher Columbus. They opposed him. Okay, they didn't see him as a hero because he was Italian. Okay, that's because they didn't see Italians as white. And now they are considered white. Okay, the whole idea, it's absolutely mind-boggling that we can all buy into it, but in fact, that is the reality. We have bought into a lie. Seriously trying to tell me that I'm not white then, okay, because of this whole historical context. I mean, the point is that, yes, that was historical, but now, there are different races and we've got to cope with that. We've got to make the most of that, mingle with each other and learn to get on with each other. I mean, what is the point in educating us about this stuff anyway?
Right, Jack, do you know what? I think we're just going to continue this next time. Once you've had a little think, once you've been able to ask the questions that you wanted to ask, if you write them down on a piece of paper, and we'll hopefully get those answered.
Why the long face, Deborah? I'm literally just asking a question. I'm just asking what is the point in being taught about historical versions of what whiteness meant. Look, all I'm saying is that we need to understand a lot about our history, okay? To understand about our identities, to feel secure within who we are, to understand that people are actually all equal and that arbitrary traits, which are based on completely baseless theories, are still existing in today's society. It's really important to address that and to explain that to people of today, and also our young people need to know as well where they really come from. And plus, what is wrong with it? I mean, I'm not saying that we have to be colourblind, I'm just saying that we need to reject colour bias and colour ranking. Just going to the toilet.
Oh, well, I do apologise, Leroy, about Jack and his ideas, which have clearly come across. But hopefully, you've still enjoyed standing here today and sharing the truth about the construct of race.
Oh, it's honestly been my pleasure, Deborah. Thank you so much for inviting me into your lovely office with all of your wonderful colleagues who work here. And yes, there are people like Jack in the world. That's a reality. And people like Jack just need to be educated as well. So we'll keep pushing on with that. Thank you all so much for listening.